guys know what this load is, because I already told you. So pay attention. You guys are going 3,000 foot a second. I'm going to go one click left. Well, it
feels like you're getting punched in the face.
Got it again. I think I got it where it belongs. By the time I flipped it up, it hit too. Hey guys, Lencac here. Got a little something we're going to take a look at today. A little project I'm going to do today, and I thought I'd share it with you. As any of you guys have followed my channel much, you know in the last number of months I've upgraded the optics on both my National Match M1A and my Grunig. And I put I took the Springfield Armory scope off the M1A. I mean, it was a 25-year-old scope. There's nothing wrong with it, but it's old school. And I took it off. I put a Vortex on it, not the highest end Vortex, but nevertheless, still a good one. And I tell you what, I've shot some of the best groups I've shot with that rifle since I put that scope on. So I'm happy with that. And of course, you saw the Grunig. I took off the other Springfield government model scope, same thing, just old school, nothing wrong with it. Worked great for a long time, but figured time to upgrade to a newer scope. And so I put that Arkin Optics scope on it, and as you saw in some of the videos, that thing shoots absolutely off the hook. So I figured to complete the cycle of upgrading the optics on a few of my favorite long guns, I thought maybe the thing to do next would be to upgrade the optic on my Steyr CISM rifle. Alright guys, this is the Steyr. I think you've probably seen a few videos of it online. But just to kind of go over what we have here, this is what's called a CISM rifle. I think it's a 300, let's see what it says. It says Steyr 300M standard CISM. And CISM, I guess, is a shooting regiment, shooting format that they do in Europe. And the Steyr is chambered in 7.5 by 5.5 Swiss. It's pretty much a bad mamma jamma, as you can see there. It calls for GP31 ammunition, but of course, obviously, I shoot GP11 out of it. This is what's referred to as the Safety Bolt System 96, which means this is the SBS Safety Bolt System of 1996. What's unique about this rifle is this is one of the rarest rifles you're going to see. I believe there was only 100 of these imported into the United States, and my understanding is there was less than 1,000 of these made. There were some, after this was made, 96, 97, they came up with a bastardized one that was all blacked out. They painted this beautiful stock, shortened the barrel, and made it into a 308, which was just a complete turd. But this thing is made for 300 meter using diopter sights, 300 meter competition. Now, like I say, my understanding is there's only less than 1,000 of these made, and there's almost no information available on these online that I can, very little bit. So it's hard to tell what it's worth. I will say that at one time, when I was thinking about selling it, I had a gentleman offer me $4,800 for the whole thing. And I had seller's remorse before it went through. He wasn't happy. I backed out of the deal. I figured I'd rather keep it. I don't know what I was thinking at the time, but as you can see, let's see here. As you can see, I've got all the original paperwork that goes with it. I got the banner that strings between the front diopter sight and the rear for glare. It's that banner they lay over the sight for the glare, but it's a Mannlicher. It says Mannlicher on it. What do you think of that? But that's all. I have all the original stuff that goes with that. All the original paperwork. It's got different butt plate on it. I can put a different adjustable angled butt plate on it. And of course, these are front apertures for the front sight. and it has extensions. You can shorten or lengthen the stock too with the inserts that go there. And of course, this is the original Steyr rear diopter sight that originally came with. And the front aperture, and then the front palm rest thing that goes under on the rail here. Here's a little close-up of the bottom of it, but primarily I wanted to kind of give you an idea of the trigger. It's very, very adjustable, although I haven't changed any of the settings on it. That's factory settings still. But boy, the trigger is just sweet on this thing. And then, now this is, if you notice, I've got this comes with two original magazines. You can tell because they come with actually the blued metal bottom on it, which means it's an original piece like the one that's in it right now. And I came up with one that was sold separately, and this, believe me, this thing right now, this thing, like, if you can find one's worth about $150 to $200. But as you can see, it's a beautiful piece of work. Now, when I got this thing, contemporary with the rifle was this loop-holed 6 to 18 power target scope, Very X2. It's really nice scope, but the thing is 90s. It's a 90s scope. It's a 1-inch tube. But it works. It works fine. It actually worked fine. But nevertheless, I figured let's upgrade this Steyr to a new scope. And so what we are going to put on the Steyr for our upgrade is I've got another Arkin Optics scope. The whole mess here, they're going to do a price increase, and then they gave me all the accessories here for free with the scope. So I think this is a $450 scope, guys, and you saw it go to work on the Grunig, and it's awesome. I mean, you're not going to find a better scope on the market than this right now. They're going to have a price increase though, but they sent me a cute little bag and some 34 millimeter rings and some throw bar for the power ring and some other stuff in here, some lens covers. And so anyways, that's what we're going to do. We're going to put we're going to mount this Arkin Optics scope on the Steyr, and then that'll make for a pretty darn good excuse for me to head back out to the range. All right, so let's take a look at some of the stuff they sent me here. Just some of the accessories. All this stuff here they say is worth $170, but they gave it to me, threw it in for getting the scope. But this is a cute little bag they got here. It says Arkin Optics Precision Tracking. Look at that. That could be like my fanny pack or something, right? I could put stuff in there. And then let's see, we got, of course, we'll know what those are. Those are lens covers, big one, small one, and of course the 34 millimeter rings. Yes. And let's see what we got in here in this little bag. Oh, I see. That's our level right there. Battery, nice battery for the mixed scope. And look at that, an Arkin rugged patch. I got a patch and a throw lever for the power ring. All right, nice. And so now let's take a first look at our scope here. Yep, there you go. Take a look there. Pull this off. Okay, let's pull our covers off. And this is there's your sunshade. There you go. Look at that bad boy. That's pretty nice. Of course, this is a little label that tells you about how to tighten the rings down. Let's pull that off. Like I say, I could put one of these on my Grunig and I have no regrets. That is without a doubt, guys, this is the best $450 scope on the freaking market. No doubt about it. But anyways, that's where we're at. I want to put this on my Steyr. So let's bring the Steyr over and get going. Okay. All right, there you go, guys. That is a very nice piece of work, is it not? I've had this scope on this rifle ever since very shortly since I got this rifle. These are scope and the rifle are both contemporary, late 90s. But put these quick release rings on it. Look at that. Nice. Nothing wrong with this scope, but just a little bit old school is all, right? Put it there. And of course I put these mounts on it. Now I'm going to have to remember, because the thickness of the trough there in the mount might be different. Like one says, one for, you know, for a Picatinny and one for Weaver, and I do believe that they are both slightly different. I think that the width of that slot, this slot here, might be a little different. So I'm going to see if I'm going to have to massage them like I had to on the Grunig when I put it on. Looks like that's pretty. So let's see here. All right, let's see here. Let me take this side of it off altogether first. Let's just do that. That way I can check and see if the slots in the mounts on the receiver, because it does look like these guys, this does look like that guy's a little bit tighter, a little bit bigger. And so, yep, that's what I thought. See this mount I'm going to have to take and check and see. I hope these mounts are going to work. I may have to end up getting some different mounts for this thing. Okay, our slots are 150, and our slot on the ring is 190. That's 45. That's quite a bit of difference right there. That is quite a bit of difference. All right, so that kind of ends our hunt for the moment. I'm going to have to search. I'm going to have to search online and see if I can find a set of, so I don't have to go through a bunch of nonsense to make it fit, because either that slot's got to be made smaller or that slot's got to be made bigger. So, okay, what I've come up with for a solution on getting the width, the crossbar width that accommodates for Picatinny, made my Weaver mounts. They'll fit now. I've taken and I've used my my little milling tool and stuff, and I've taken and I've opened those up so that they are gonna sit. Actually, they're gonna be sitting in there just perfect. And so that's what I'm gonna do on it now. I just want to make sure that I got There's no burrs there. Everything's sitting nice and flat. Okay. Okay, that one. Now put this one on. All right, got those on. So now what we're going to do is we're going to start to tighten these things up. And of course, when you're putting rings into a slot, like on a Picatinny rail, you want to make sure that they're up against, they're pushed forward, because that recoil is going to want to, it's going to make the front face of the mount, your load carrying part of it. See, so what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to take and tighten them up a little bit. I think these will work fine, actually. You know, I did a little snooping around on, and I don't think they make, I don't know, if anybody knows it, if they make a Picatinny mount for this rifle, this is a 300M, this is a medium length action. And so, I don't know, if anybody's interested to see if there's any, I couldn't find any on Midway, but I didn't look terribly hard. You see, what I'm going to do now is as I put these in, I want to make sure that they're seated to the front of each mount. See, because that, like I said, that's going to be the part that takes the brunt of the recoil, is the front face of that crossbar in the ring, and the front face in the cross cutout of the mount. But so we'll see. See, and so what I got going on here, I'm going to tighten them up a little bit, not tight yet. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to tap on them a little bit more. Make sure they all sit flush and down fully into the mount. So okay, I think that guy's tight. Using my very sophisticated calibrated wrench called my wrist, and having done this a number of times. Okay, so there you go. I do believe I got the bottom rings mounted on it now. Now let's see how the scope seems to feel in there. Does it seem like it is all straight and all that? I think it is. Wow, look at that, just about perfect clearance on it. I am digging it. So now this side here, they're together, they're tight, but this is the side that's open. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring these down to where they start to get a little bit tight. Okay? And this is how I do it. Okay, so I'm going to move these guys. I'm going to open these guys up a half a turn. Which means I can put a half a turn on these guys now, and should start to square those rings up as far as the spacing on each side. So let's see how that looks. little bit on that side, a little bit on this side. I think that's not too bad. So I'm going to take and I'm going to tighten them down here. All right, let's take a look. Oh yeah, that looks pretty freaking good right there, I'd say, huh? That looks pretty freaking nice. Hope it shoots as well as it looks. I don't see why it wouldn't. See, so now what I got to do is going to take and I got to square up, I got to level things up here. So let me get my little hand levels here, these little guys come in handy for doing this kind of thing. And see, so what I want to do, I gotta find a spot on the receiver, which might be a little hard to do. So we might have to do this by eye. We might have to be doing this by eye. So let's, boy, I tell you what, that's pretty dang close right there, actually. That's just, let's see how we put you across there. Even that guy, even my level on that thing is pretty good. I still want to find a spot, if I can. Maybe if I pull the bolt. Maybe if I pull the McBolt, I can find a place to put. Yeah, I don't know if that's going to be a legitimate marker or not. See it there? Let's put my other one across the top here. I'm not sure. Let's see. I can see that we need to go. Okay, see that guy right there? He's level. And that's level. Let's see how this looks to the eye. But first, so I don't move it, I want to take and tighten these guys up just a little bit. Just tighten a couple of them up. Just finger tight, so to speak. Okay. Let's see how that looks. See, what I'm looking for is I'm looking to see that vertical crosshair to intersect the center of the bore. Is what needs to happen there. So let's try this again here. Okay. Now, that looks pretty good. That guy's level, that guy's level. And if you can see that, that guy's level. I think that's pretty much, I think that is pretty much the spot, Ming. I think that's, I don't know, I think that looks pretty good right there, boys. See how it feels. Eye relief looks good. Okay, I think we're in business. I think we are in business, boys. And let's tighten this guy up because he wasn't completely tight. That guy. Of course, I got my throw ring on it for the power settings. And let's finish tightening down. Let's finish tightening down our rings. Guys, like that. See, these rings are made to where they're a precision fit. There is not a lot of space between the rings. Right? Use my calibrated McFinger. 18 inch-pounds. It's not a lot, but it needs to be enough. Tight. 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 Tight and tight. Well, there you go. Let's take a look. Okay, guys, there is the new Arkin optic scope on the Steyr. What do y'all think? Here's a look at the reticle. I'm surprised I got my camcorder in there so I can look at this. Let's see if we turn on there's our illuminated center reticle. See what this has is it's in between each illumination setting. It goes off, so you don't have to click around all the way around it to get to your setting and then off. And if I turn the power ring down, you're going to see it'll change the so your ranging on it remains the same no matter what power setting you're at. Or ones that have the first focal plane. No, is this first? This might be first. The one that does not change with the power setting. You have that calibration for the range finding is only good for one power setting on that. And then from there you got to kind of calculate your difference. But here, because the reticle gets bigger and smaller with power, your ranges are always what they're calculated to be. Okay? This should be a bad mamma jamma, huh? Can't wait to try this thing out. I got another project I have to do that I'm not really looking forward to, so it might be a little while before I can get this out to the range, but shouldn't be too long. Well, there you go. There's the Steyr with the new Arkin optic scope on it, and I kind of had to redo the foam on it and stuff, cut it out a little bit bigger. It's a bigger scope. But, you know, just something you might find a little bit of interest. I got a little bit of a story behind this thing. You know, I got this, I can't remember, it's been a number of years ago that I got this, but I went to gun shows. I used to do quite a bit. And there's a guy, he's always there, but he always has M1 Garands and M1 carbines and 1903s, and he's particularly fond of National Match 1903s. But one day I go into a gun show and he's got this thing on his bench, and it doesn't have a scope on or anything, but it's got all the original accessories with it, the paperwork, all that stuff, original magazines, blah blah blah, as I explained to all of you. But and so what he had on it was he had $800 on it, but it had 200 brand new brass that went with it, competition loading dies, and so anyways, he had $800 on it. So knowing that, because I've talked to this guy before, I went home and I've got a national match 1903. It was a legit national match 1903. And except that the receiver had been drilled for a scope mount. So in my eye, it had been tainted. But nevertheless, I went and brought that down there. And it wasn't, well, he checked the number out. It's a legitimate national match 1903. So we traded even up for this. So I got this thing basically for what I paid for that national match rifle years before I got this. And if I remember right, I think I paid $600 or $700 for that national match 1903, which at the time was, that was something. That wasn't a cheap rifle. But so at any rate then, so I had this thing and I put that loophole scope on. I shot it over a number of years. I've had it a long time. But back when I was doing the K31 restorations, through some means, I can't remember how, I got hooked up with a guy that lived in Switzerland. And this is how I came to find out some of the information about these particular rifles. He contacted me when I had a K31 on Gunbroker. He had some kind of technical question about it, and so anyways, we started communicating back and forth. And I mentioned to him, I says, well, I have a Steyr CISM rifle, and he goes, oh really? He says, which one do you got? And I told him the 300M standard CISM rifle, and he goes, he has the same rifle. He told me that in 1996, he's a competition shooter. In 1996, he bought one of these brand new, low serial number. And as it turned out, he worked for the company that does exports, the Swiss export place that sends, K31s out and stuff. But so he had one of these and he was aware of them. And so he's the one that told me that they were supposed to make 1,000 of these. He says he doesn't think that they actually got to 1,000. He thinks they were a few under that. But they were intended originally, this is the original, very first incarnation of the Steyr SBS 96, which is a safety bolt system. This was their flagship of that action. If you look, everything after that, all their rifles, their hunting rifles, their sniper rifles, all that stuff are all based on this action. But this was the original flagship that came out with that action when the action just was introduced for the first time. And he said they intended to make 1,000 of these, but they still had rifles on the shelf because in reality, there's not that many people that are really, he said, that are really competing in this kind of competition. But he got one. I think he said his was number 59. And in mine, let me see my number. Mine is 856. I don't know if you can see that. Mine is 856. But then what he tells me is he goes, they were not intending to export any of these. But because after a period of time they still had these things sitting on, some of these unsold sitting on the shelf, they decided to ship 100 of them, import 100 of them into the United States, of which he doesn't think it was even 100. He thinks it was more like 97 because they didn't make the full 1,000 of them. And so that's what he said. He goes, there's no more than 100 of these that were imported into the United States. So that makes this rifle pretty darn rare. And if I hadn't run into that guy that was in the know about this thing, I mean, the whole thing would be a mystery. You can't find, there's no information online about these things. But at any rate, guys, that was my little story about this rifle, how I got it, and some of the information I came to come by. All right, guys, this is Lencac. Over and out, guys. Let's give this Steyr a try with this new scope on as soon as I can. We will see you next time. Bye.